Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by our friends at Gateway Buick GMC at LBJ and Jupiter. I know that buying a car can be stressful, but not at Gateway because their slogan is Gateway's Got It. And just what does that mean? Well, it means Gateway's got a wide selection of new Buicks, GMCs, and GM certified used vehicles, all competitively priced. Gateway's got it. In these busy times, you want a dealer who makes things easy and convenient. Well, guess what? Gateway's got it. When you log on to gatewaybuickgmc.com, look for the Shop, Click, Drive button. This allows you to shop from the comfort of your home, and who doesn't want that? In fact, it's easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, select your vehicle. 2, create your offer. And 3, schedule your delivery. On top of all this, Gateway Buick GMC offers complimentary car washes for life. I can attest to this one. So when you want a dealer who has it all, Gateway's got it. You can find them online at gatewaybuickgmc.com or shop in person at LBJ and Jupiter. GMC, we are professional grade. Experience the new Buick. And this episode of The Mom Game is also proudly brought to you by the McCoy team at Affiliated Bank Mortgage. The world around us is crazy and unsettled right now for all of us. So whether you're wanting to stay put in your current home or wanting a change of pace, the McCoy team is here to help. Getting pre-qualified before you are ready to sell and or purchase is always the first step in the process. Interest rates are at an all-time low, which means now is the perfect time to buy or refinance. There are a lot of mortgage companies that will sift you through their automated processes, but that's not how the McCoy team operates. When you call, email, or text Mike or his team, you'll get an actual human on the other end, answering your questions and setting you up with honest guidance. I know because I live with the man and he is constantly on his phone. Mike and his team operate in full disclosure, much like me, and will get you prepared for any purchase or refinance. Here's the deal, though. He is not going to get you in over your skis. If you can't afford a new purchase or refi, he is absolutely not going to recommend it. I know it may sound cheesy, and I know I'm biased, but my dude will take care of you. So will his team. This is their thing, and they take great pride in it, and I am proud of them for that. So give him a holler, 817-987-2200, or schedule a free no-obligation consultation at McCoyTeamMortgage.com. FDIC insured, NMLS number 402132, equal housing lender. Give him a call, y'all. Welcome to episode 55 of The Mom Game. We're coming in hot off of our 1-year celebration. It was huge and massive. And
Emily, if we're being honest, I'm a little hungover from
it was that one can of wine that you had
from our 1-year celly.
Yeah, the first year anniversary, our first birthday. We totally forgot. We were like 2 weeks late and whatever. Still had a great time last week. Still not in studio because of my crazy baseball schedule, but we're still coming in hot. It's the second time I've said coming in hot, but we're still here. We're always going to be with you every week, whether we're together or apart.
That's right.
And today I am thrilled to have one of my favorite people in the world join us from afar. And, you know, for people who follow me or are big Rangers fans, they're probably going to wonder, like, how is this friendship happening? And it is the field reporter for the Houston Astros, who does the job that I do for the Astros, Julia Morales, who is also one of my very, very dear friends. And Julia, do you get that question a lot? Like, how do y'all like each other so much?
Yeah,
because we're supposed to be like bitter rivals.
Yeah, and when we tweet back and forth,
I
get the comments that are like, wait, what? Or now on Instagram, because I like to support you in all of your endeavors, you know, and then I'll get the message that like, why do we care about her? Or this is weird. So it's like they either go like the hateful way or they're like the but then of course there's a nice community of people out there that are all for it.
Yeah.
Because they understand what we do is strange and unique and we need each other sometimes.
Right. And we have a group text. There's how many of us? 6 or 7 on our group text.
Yeah.
That all do basically the same thing for other Major League Baseball teams. And it is life-giving. I mean, the conversations that we have on these text strings are, first of all, could make for a ridiculously intriguing book, which we could never publish. But it's just, we've all kind of been through similar circumstances. It's a sounding board for us all. It literally is one of my favorite things on the planet is that text string with
the six of us girl, or is it 6 or 7? I can't do the math right now, but 6 or 7 of us. And it's awesome. So that's how I know Julia. I met Julia actually when you were working in, where were you working when you covered our playoff runs in Austin. 2010 and 11? You were in Austin. And so you came up and were covering the Rangers for the Austin station.
Because the AAA affiliate, was Round Rock. This is before the switch back. There's so many switches with Round Rock. But when I got there, they had just become the Rangers AAA affiliate, and the Rangers were getting good. And so they sent me. I was fortunate. It was like, this is fun. Go follow the Rangers on their journeys, because we were obsessed with the AAA guys, and so when they'd get called up, it was fun to follow the story. So 2011, I was there.
Yep. And then you and I met then, and just as you got your role with the Astros, and we would see each other more, and then we share those, we share similar career circumstances and life experiences and all that kind of stuff. And so that's how I know Julia. And now come to find out, Julie, you actually know, or Julia actually knows you. You guys are kind of strangely connected.
Yeah. I was really excited that we were going to have Julia on today, because she's somebody whose name I've heard for a long time in this business, and your name has continued to resurface, but I've never been able to meet you. And so I was just kind of looking you up a little bit, just, are there any things I need to know, any storylines, whatever it is, just before we chat, because you are somebody that I had never met. And I saw that you, I'm guessing, got your start-ish in the business in Tyler. And that is somewhere that I interviewed for a job. It was after I'd worked for the Cowboys for like a year, and I was trying to figure out my next move, whether I was going to stay in Dallas or go to a small market. Interviewed for a job in Tyler as the weekend sports anchor, weekday sports reporter. Got the job offer, but didn't take it because I just had so much in Dallas that I loved, and I didn't want to leave Dallas, and it's led to a weird kind of career. But I should have, like I told Julia before we started, I probably should have taken that job and gotten the damn experience. But regardless, you told me when we were just talking that somehow they showed you my audition tape, which is just funny. So we both came into this with somewhat of a knowledge of each other, and it all goes back to Tyler, Texas.
It does. And I'm going to have to find it again so I can send it to you now, because you're going to want to see it. But because that was a long time ago. And thank you for not taking the job, I guess.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, is that awkward? Must have been the same opening, like the same time.
It was because we were on the same DVD of auditions. So they must have like watched us, probably back to back to back, and decided.
I always knew I should have taken that job. And now I have proof.
Congrats on getting the job. It's so awkward that I'm like, thank you for not taking it.
But that's how this business is.
This business, so it's crazy, and we all have weird stories.
Yeah.
But, I started in Sherman, actually.
Okay.
So I was coming in with some experience. Watch out with my Sherman.
Oh, hell yeah, you were. Yeah.
I was there for 9 months or something, and I was dying to get out. And so it was good timing, and went into Tyler, and I was the job you were just talking about. Yeah, I did that for 2 full years before I went to Austin, where I met Emily. So
and I'm from Austin. So that at one point was one of my like goals, was to get to Austin again and then try and come back to Dallas. But then I was like, that sounds like a lot of effing work and like moving around. And I'm just going to see if I can like do some editing or something and stay here in Dallas and try to figure it out. And that's why I ended up, it was actually a conversation I had with my grandmother, because she lives in Dallas, and I was talking to her about that decision. And she was like, you should stay in Dallas and stay here. Maybe she said that selfishly, but I did. I just kind of wanted to be around family. What was that job like, living in Tyler? Because when I went to audition for it, I kind of drove around and I was like, what would life be like here? Where would I live? What would I do? And there were like a couple Mexican food joints that I felt like maybe like they were happening. But other than that, that's why I didn't take the job. Because I was single. I was like, I was dating. I was just going out. I probably was partying too much at that point in my life. And I didn't want to give it all up for the Tyler lifestyle.
Awesome. I'm loving this podcast already. I didn't know what the rules and regulations were.
There's none.
How far we go, but this is good. Yeah, this is good. I'm getting a good feel.
Zero.
Okay. Like, you guys didn't tell me if I was allowed to cuss. Like, we didn't go over all that.
You've met Emily.
That's absolutely true. Okay, so Tyler is a lot better than Sherman.
Uh-huh. So there's
Honestly, I went to school in Austin, so I interned at the CBS affiliate there, and there was a weekend sports anchor who was a woman, Allison Smith. I'll never forget this woman because
I know
honestly,
her.
I thought, do you? Because I thought I was going to go be a news reporter. This whole time I went to school for it. I was like, this is what I'm doing. And then I met her, and she was helping out, and she was the weekend sports anchor, and I was like, I'm sorry, you do what? Like, you get to go to football games and talk about sports? Like, and like, hold up. So completely, switched my thinking, and now I want to go into sports. How the heck do I do it? And she told me, she was like, literally take the first job that you get. It doesn't matter how much you get paid. Just get your foot in the door, send your tape all over the country and just say yes. And so I did. And I got a lot of no's. Just because the time, I mean, y'all know in TV, it's like the timing has to be right. Like there has to be an opening. And then it's like, they have to want a female in that job too. And so, if they already had one in that market,
do they have their token female yet or no?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like all that had to just kind of line up. And so eventually I got a job in Sherman, and that was rough. I mean, I was making 15 grand a year, not turning on my AC in the summer because I couldn't afford it, like not eating. I dropped 15 pounds because I went from college where I was drinking in Austin to like, I can't afford even the dollar beers at TGI Fridays after 11 or whatever. Like, I mean, like life changed fast, but I was like,
that's such a sad statement.
It's a really sad story. My parents were worried about me, and I'm like, I'm working myself to death, and I got to get the heck out of here. So I went to Tyler.
Yeah, that was big city lights at that point.
I mean, you turned it down. It was probably because they offered you $18,000, and me, I'm like, heck yeah, I got a raise. Like I can afford to turn on my AC every once in a while. I think my apartment was even a little bit bigger, but Tyler was small town. I mean, it was great because it was close enough to Dallas. So, we had mentioned that I started covering the Rangers. I actually started the year before that because Chris Davis, not the Chris Davis that's on the Rangers now, but like
the other one,
the OG Chris Davis, was from Longview, which was 5 miles down the road. And that's how small markets work. It's like, if you get a pro ball player or you get somebody in the NFL, that's your lead story. I mean, they could just be going, to the mall and be seen. And like, you find a picture on the internet, it's like, Chris Davis went to the mall today, because like sometimes there's nothing else to talk about in small markets. Sometimes there's literally nothing else going on. And so, and everybody just worships people like that come from their hometown. Yeah. So they sent me, those were like the first Rangers games I went to. It was like opening day because Chris Davis made the roster, and then he struck out a lot after that, and he got sent down, and we all know his story from there, but it was just, that's what we did in Tyler, and a lot of high school football. I got a ton of really great reps on, Friday night, our shows that we had, so much because we had like a 15-minute show. Like nobody gets 15 minutes on TV, that's a big deal. If you think about just like the experience and like the amount of time that you have to ad lib and do highlights, it's and good experience. You have guests sit on your desk, and I've got the head coach coming on. I mean, it was great. Yeah. So, loved it. I honestly did, because I was a Rangerette too in Kilgore. So it was coming back to Tyler for me. Like I knew the area already. East Texas didn't scare me. Like I knew what that life was going to be like. But yeah, after 2 years, I was ready to be able to turn my AC on for more than just, a couple days out of the week.
And then Austin, and then Astros.
And then Astros. Yeah, I was so into the Round Rock Express. I mean, I covered everything because I was a sports reporter. For the 24-hour channel, like the Time Warner cable, it's changed so much now. I think it's Spectrum now, but it was, we covered everything. Obviously UT like crazy, but I was really onto the Round Rock Express. Like I was like the beat reporter, if you will. We had Express games broadcast on our channel, and I had a weekly show. I had to, I just had to fill it, which is hard sometimes when they go on 12-day road trips, and it's like. And the team's always changing, but I learned that way. And my my now father-in-law was the pitching coach for that team. This is how I met my husband. Like the Round Rock Express has a special place in my heart and always will. But I learned a lot, and I remember I broke a story. So there was a lot going on. Like Rangers were really good. So I don't mean to like to bash on Rangers fans for not being very good right now, but like
they're all
that
used
was
to
just,
it.
that was such a special time for the Texas Rangers. Like there was so much talent coming. I was there to meet Leonis Martin when he came, you know, this huge prospect, but he was like off the boat and showed up, no English.
Wow.
And I'm there to interview him. And it's like, they've got a translator and I'm like the only one there because they didn't, you know, we didn't have that much coverage for the Express. But like Martin Perez showed up at like 20 years old, maybe younger than that. And so, I mean, these are the guys that I'm like on every day. And then the rehabbing that was going on, it was like Napoli would show up, Josh Hamilton. I mean, it was a great place to be. Chris Davis, we rendezvous again. I'm covering Chris Davis again because he was like
he's still striking out.
Right. Like he was, I think, you know, one day he got offered a job in Japan. And I'll never forget, like sitting outside the clubhouse and he's like kind of telling us the story, like the reporters that were there, like, should I take this job? I think he'd just met his wife, Jill, or they were, you know, getting pretty serious. And he was thinking about taking it because he'd done that, you know, that up and down between the big leagues and AAA. And, you know, ends up in Baltimore and has the explosion of home runs and
a gigantic explosion of his bank
contract.
account.
Yeah, the contract. So like, thank God he didn't go. But that's always, you know, that's like stuff that happens in the minor leagues that, you know, it's like those conversations that you get to have that were really cool. But no, I broke Neftali Felice or somebody showed up and I like broke a story about, you know, what was going on with him, and Evan Grant retweeted it and I got retweeted like crazy. And then I have all these Rangers fans following me. And so then I felt like I had even more of a purpose, and that was fun because I was really just enjoying all of it and learning and all this. And I wasn't tied to a team yet. So you could break news. And that's how I ended up with the Astros. So all of that to say that the Astros job opened up and I was like, that's kind of what I need to be doing. Right. Like I went from, you know, it's just basically moving up to the majors. The difference being that I'm more of a team reporter than that kind of reporter. But yeah, all of that experience and baseball games, all the time spent got me here for sure.
And I feel like too, Julia, you and I mean, I feel like my approach was pretty unconventional when I first started with the Rangers and even started with Fox Sports Southwest about that development of relationships and maybe even taking it to, you know, I mean, like you look at like Alana Rizzo, who is our dear friend who just retired left the Dodgers. She was very no nonsense. You know what I mean? She and I have a very different approach, but both are extremely effective. It's just a different way of, and I think too, that's partly, it's the Dodgers. Like it's so pro, it's so, you know what I mean? With the Rangers, like our fan base wants that emotional connection. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's a different fan base. And so depending on what franchise, what organization you work for, I feel like your role can, you know, evolve based on that. And I feel like the Astros kind of falls in line as far as philosophy is concerned, more so with the Rangers than it would say with the Yankees or the Dodgers.
Completely agree. Yeah. That was actually kind of hard in the beginning because I was trying to figure that out. Like what kind of reporter am I? Am I going to be looked down upon by anyone really if I do a segment on a hot dog or the boomstick because I ate one at a Rangers game while covering the Astros? You know, it's like, will I be looked down upon if I have a little fun in the seventh inning when the game's out of control or whatever? Like I had to go through that. And then like you were saying, the relationships with the players and the stories you do get and how you tell them, that took me a couple of years. We were also trying to just figure out how to broadcast a team that was losing just crazy amount of games, the hundreds of games that they lost. That was difficult too. But yeah, no, I'm a Texan, Emily, and so are you. Like, it's just who we are. It's like we get this fan base because we are the fan base. Like this is how we grew up watching sports and how we felt and how we talk to our friends and how our families are. So we just get it, I think, too. So yeah, it's different. It's much different. You mentioned Alana Rizzo. There's so many reporters that do such great work and they do it so differently than you and I do. And I'm even different than you. Your approach is even different than mine, but we both have, it's just a little more, I don't know if it's friendly. That's maybe not the right word. it's like you were explaining it pretty well. But yeah, I mean,
I would say I just more casual.
Maybe so, but like
I feel like I'm pretty unrefined.
Yeah, like we're who we are, and that's like why it's hard for me to even think about leaving or doing something else, because it's like, if I were to go and sit in an ESPN studio and be an anchor, like then I have to like sit up straight and say things proper all the time, or like it's just not who I am, and I've been able to be me, like from the most genuine way, like what you see on the broadcast is what you get. Maybe, just less cuss words on the broadcast, but I mean, that's it. Like, and
I'm
we're
exactly,
it's like,
exactly
and
who I am during the Rangers game.
Right. I'm going to tell you a story about Jose Altuve and his family the same way I'm going to tell my mom and dad the story after the game, or like a just in conversation with my friends. So
that's what people want.
It's a great point that you're bringing up, because we do it differently. And my 9 years now we're doing something right, Emily, I think, right? Like we're still here. So. They haven't kicked us out.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I'm biased and I'm here in Texas, but it seems like you two are some of the most beloved like field reporters in all of baseball. So I would say whatever you're doing, people are relating and it's resonating, and keep doing it. People want real, people don't want just like on the surface kind of stuff. And when they feel attached to you as a reporter, they want to come back and hear more from you. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to follow your personal life. They want to see what you're up to. And that's part of the reason we started this show too, is just to kind of talk more about life outside of our professions. And one of the reasons why we're so glad that you're joining us here today too, Julia. You talked about the Astros and all of the bad baseball, that you did have to cover. But then I just want to talk a little bit about the gamut of emotions that you must have had covering this team through the last few years. So after the the Astros were able to win a World Series of all things, like how fun was that, first of all? And then the cheating scandal, we have to talk a little bit about it, because I know I covered the Stars for a long time. I got very emotionally invested in that team and those players and their families, and knowing their personalities and knowing that they're mostly good people. I want to know how difficult that was for you as a reporter. I'm just having to kind of withstand that onslaught of criticism, I'm assuming, coming towards your team. So we'll start positive. What was it like covering the World Series and then the cheating scandal?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what Emily and I were talking about, and how we do this kind of sets us up for the emotional ride, whether, it's like, that's what we get, right? Like when we kind of put ourselves all out there and we care, because we treat these players and the staff like they're our own and our family, and you do get close to them. I've been on every road trip since 2013, so like I've spent a lot of time with these people as they've changed, a lot more time than I do with my family. And I hear guys say that all the time, but like, it's true. But then you get to go on this ride. And so the big wins are even bigger sometimes. Like it's hard to come down after a game sometimes, because you were in it with them. And then you legit root for certain people to do well because of how wonderful they are, or, like as humans and their families and the contracts that these guys get, because you do see the work that they put in. And it's a lot of that we don't really tell, it's like a lot of that's the stuff that's hard for people to relate to, or they don't, professional athletes are just in a world of their own, but at the same time they are people, but it is hard. I mean, I get how hard it would be to just kind of watch from afar and try to relate to them. So, so there's a lot of stuff that we don't say on the broadcast or explain, or, and if that makes any sense. But
so did you feel like you won a World Series?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I did. And, and I boohooed as I interviewed these guys after Game 7 of the ALCS that year when they beat the Yankees to go to the World Series. I tell people, like, winning the World Series for them, like that was awesome. But getting to the World Series, it's like, it's the same for the Rangers. It was like that strikeout of A-Rod, like that moment was, like, I don't know. World Series championship tops it, but it's like that moment, I guess. It's really
especially
cool.
when you haven't been, you've been so low. You were, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not you're
to ride it right. To watch, a guy like Altuve or Marwin Gonzalez or Dallas Keuchel, there was a bunch of them that were on those really, really bad teams that had to withstand a lot of losses and watch their friends get traded away. You know, like, we're about to rebuild, boys, like, buckle in. And then, you know, them come out on the other side and find a way to get there. I mean, I tell a lot of people too, like the 2015 year, they get to the postseason for the first time in a decade, and they do it on the last day of the season. I can't remember. The Rangers were involved. I think the Rangers had to beat the Angels. No, y'all had to beat the Angels, or the Angels had to beat y'all in order for the Astros to go. And that was the first champagne clubhouse that I got to cover. So I got to go in the Rangers but that wasn't my team. So when it's your team and you're on live TV, this is why we do the job, right, Emily? Like,
yeah. It's wheels off, but it's amazing.
It's wheels off, but it's like, these guys trust you. They're going to answer your questions differently because you've been with them. Yep. So like for Garrett Cole, for me to grab Garrett, like, I need you on next with me, for him to throw his arm around my shoulders and say, like, let's do this, Jules, and like give you a real interview of like the dude, not like the baseball player, but like the dude. That's why I freaking do this job still. You know, it's like, cause we put in a lot too. That's like our reward, right, Emily? Like, if I making any sense?
Completely agree. To know that you've earned that trust level with them, to where they know that you're not going to put them in a position. You're going to put them in a position where they're going to shine. Where they're going to,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're going to set them up because the reason you're able to do that is because you've developed that relationship. You've established that trust. And so they realize that whatever you throw out there, it's not ever trying to get you to say anything or bait you into anything or lead you down a road or steer you in one direction. It's because you've established that they trust you. And that's to me, to be in this spot, to have someone's trust, especially with professional athletes, their families, those staffs, that's the ultimate compliment because they are so incredibly guarded.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say there. So yes, the World Series was freaking amazing. And the parade, because I lived through Harvey too. You know, I mean, that I was on the road with that team when it hit. We couldn't get home. We thought we were going to be on the road for 21 days. I'm not going to bring up the fact that we had to play the Rangers in Tampa and how that made us all feel. But yeah, that didn't go well. You know, I mean, it was just like September hit and they got Justin Verlander and then they took off and then the confetti's coming down. And that's like I know the Mavericks did it. You know, I was actually still a Dallas fan when the Mavericks did it. And it's just like, the parades are just so freaking cool. And then, you know, we were on a high. 2017, 2018 ended way too early, losing to the Red Sox, but a freaking amazing year, just to have 100+ wins. And then to do it again in 2019, get back to the World Series. I mean, like the world started crumbling during the World Series. And, you know, those who followed pretty closely, just baseball closely, you know, there was the Brandon Taubman incident that happened at the end of the ALCS where he said things towards a female reporter. There was a statement.
Gosh, I forgot about that, but that was a big deal. Yeah.
That's how our World Series started in 2019, was that black cloud.
Yeah.
That was the story. And so now all these national writers are in Minute Maid Park. You know, it's supposed to be game one, like, let's go. And that's all that we were talking about was that, that's all that was being asked. And you know, AJ Hinch is having to answer questions about that. And like,
you're like, he's a baseball guy. Like, yeah.
And now that I think about it, it's like, that was the beginning of like a really ugly stretch of time in Astros history. Just because it obviously winning a couple of games on the road and there were some highs and there were some good things, but then, you know, to lose game 7 in the way that they did was just ultimate gut wrenching heartbreak. And I know the Rangers fans can, you know, talk to that too. But then it was a scandal, you know, so it just kept on. And then to go to spring training and like, it's supposed to be spring training and some of these guys are not even on the team anymore. And Dusty Baker's here. And it was like a statement that nobody liked. And then the players were trying to apologize and nobody liked the way they did that either. And then it was like, okay,
how hard was all of that for you?
It was awful. It was awful. I mean, it was hard. And I almost had to like distance myself. You know, you have to, because we're not putting that on the team broadcast, right? Like, you're not tuning in to watch your Astros to hear about all that. And so
Right.
I had like removed myself from the clubhouse. I didn't go in on certain days because I didn't, again, it's like all about developing trust and relationships, and you do not want to be mixed up in any of that.
Yeah.
Unless you need it. And then, if and I had to talk to several guys about it, but I did it on our terms. Like we had our own setup, we had our own sit down, and it was, hey, Alex Bregman, I'm going to ask you this, like, here it comes. And that's kind of how and that, I don't know, a lot of people don't know that part of our jobs and like how different reporters work, but we're with a team, man. Like,
Yeah.
like Emily said, we are not here to set guys up. And so we are here to give them an opportunity to talk to their fan base, like this is their voice. So hard, all of it hard, still hard to hear about it. The boos are coming. I haven't obviously been on the road with them, and I won't be for some time, but that's not going to be fun. But that was all, I thought about it. I was like, this is going to suck. Like my favorite thing about this job is to be on the road and to see the sites and to see the different fan bases. And I immediately thought that was all gone. I mean, I'm just going to get booed and batteries are going to be thrown at my head. And
yeah, I can tell you're like such a sweet person. And like, if it was me, it would be like, I know they're not booing me, but I feel like I'm a part of this thing. And I feel like people hate me just because I'm affiliated with this team, because it is your family. So I can just imagine whether it happened or not, whether you think it happened or not, but it is just such a dark cloud that I can imagine that was hard for you to just kind of to ride through, and we'll see what happens in the coming seasons.
You do take it personally, right? Like you because these are guys that you've grown to love and respect and develop those relationships with, and so you want to kind of guard them, or you want to it's kind of like being a mom, like you want to protect them in a certain way, realizing that what they did was not right. But you want to try to fix it if you can, to fix it or to help it or to make it better.
And you know them, and you know that they're good people. And, it's like, then you start looking around at all these things are being thrown at you and said, and you're like, so you've never done anything wrong in your life. You start having this defense, like, hold up, everybody. Like there's some really good guys in that clubhouse.
And sports fans are just ruthless.
I posted a picture of my child in an Astros rainbow onesie. She's 6 months old and she's freaking adorable. But somebody was like, you forgot the trash can.
Like, really?
Like what's the point? Like, that's so ridiculous.
I can't imagine caring that much about something to post a picture on a caption like that on a baby's picture. People are crazy
sometimes.
That's a whole nother episode.
Okay, but now we've buried the lead this whole episode. Valerie, she is 6 months old. You are a mom. I don't know if I've ever gotten as emotional when someone told me they were pregnant. Like pregnant. This is going to happen pregnant, as when you told me. And I was so thrilled for you because I knew how much you and Matt wanted this and how long and hard you had tried. And so, and now here you are, you're a mama. What's it been like?
Big change.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, you're right. So we wanted it for a long time. I am in the Rainbow Baby group with Valerie. So all those who are out there, gosh, I'm with you. I am so with you several times. And so, yes, we were elated, and I was so excited, obviously, but like it took me holding her for that to be real, like this actually happened. She's here. We did it, right? Like, I am a mom, and we've gotten so lucky. She's just a joy. And I honestly, I waited a long time anyway, career, the traveling that I mentioned, it was just, my husband plays baseball too, which is a whole other thing. He plays internationally. So, it's hard to make babies when you're not in the same country.
Minor details.
Just a little more time. Right. So things, just took time. And it's just, if I had started in my early 20s, I'd have 10 of them if they were all like Valerie. She's that much fun. She's a happy baby. I also got lucky in the timing of it. It was a horrific year. But the pandemic, my shining light was her, and being pregnant during that time where I could stay home, stay safe, hang out with my husband who is usually gone all year.
Yeah.
Was with me, was there for the birth and all that. We didn't think, I mean, there was so many weird plans that I had in my mind doing this job. Like I was going to work and travel until they told me not to. And then I ended up, obviously not having to travel. Matt was going to be on a plane from Mexico. And it was like, if he makes it, he makes it. I don't know, like all that. And it turned out to be us together. And what a magical moment. So yeah, I'm in the mom game.
In the mom club, in the mom game.
Oh my gosh,
I love it.
Fun.
And what are your plans for the baseball season? Will you still be traveling? Have you figured out the childcare? I know it's like such a chore because working in sports, the hours are crazy, and so it's a lot of having to ask people for help or finding a babysitter, and with a traveling husband, I'm sure I have one of those too. It's a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. And which is, going back to why it was hard to get started. But honestly, like Emily, thank God for you showing that you can do it, because I'll never get like your pregnant, cute self, being on TV and still rocking it, and then having another one and like still rocking it. I mean, there was so many what ifs and so many like, I can't do this because I don't see anyone doing it before that. And now you see women rocking their bumps on, the weather, like meteorologist and like we're all over the place. Right. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love that we broke through and we can like women on TV can be pregnant and like everyone's just going to get over it. I thank God for that, because, it was just like, then it was like, I can do this. If Emily can do it, I can do it. Right. Because there's a way. We just have to figure it out. So my plan, I don't know. We're not traveling anytime soon. So again, this is all kind of working out. My mom is going to come help me in a big way here pretty soon. She lives closer to Dallas. I grew up closer to there. So she's going to come and help me out.
Awesome.
Yeah, Matt's going to be gone. Well, I don't know. I have no idea what next month is going to look like. We're just going to try to take it a month at a time and figure it out. Yeah. Is this what moms do? Is this what I'm supposed to do?
Yep.
It's what you're supposed to do. Okay. Day by day. You just figure it out. Like just wing it. And if you don't really know, just make some shit up and go with it. And then until it doesn't work anymore.
It'll get worked out. I think it's awesome. And we've talked about how important it is to continue to do what you love too, and it's so much harder that way. It'd be easier to just stay home and to snuggle with your baby. Like that sounds wonderful as well, but there's something about being able to continue your career and you, like Emily said, you just make it work. So I'm sure you will do it beautifully with flying colors. And I know I'm going to be watching Astros games a little bit differently now after meeting you. You're lovely. And so awesome to have you on the show with us. Hopefully you can come back sometime. Maybe we can talk more Rangers v Astros later on in the season. Really break this thing down.
The intense rivalry between field reporters, between Julia and I.
Intense. We need a picture. I need to go to the new ballpark. Oh,
I know. Someday soon. Okay, Jules, love you. Both the Jules. Julia. Love you, girls. Thank you for being with me. Speaking of baseball, I've got a 10U baseball game that Henry is starting pitching, and if I'm late, I'm going to be in trouble.
Let's go, Henry.
So Henry.
Okay. Love you, Julia.
Thank you, Julia, for joining us.
We got to close it out with Mom Game Out.
Oh yeah, let's put
Mom Game Out.
Let's put Julia front and center for this.
Mom Game Out.